Ebulanyelu anamabara na ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konyo feke anamabara no n'ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye feke Igbo bụ n'ndike ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike koko nyamini nyamini koko nyamini nyamini koko nyamini nyamini koko nyamini nyamini hey cha 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 Igbo kwazon ya cha 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 Igbo kwazon ya ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ọrụ aka ha ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ihe aka ha ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ọrụ aka ha ụmụ Igbo anyị were omenala dowe n'azụ were omenala ndị ọzọ bulie elu anyị were omenala Igbo dowe n'azụ were omenala ndị ọzọ bulie elu ihe anyị na-eme Chineke na ọ dịrọzi mma ihe anyị na-eme Chineke ọ dịrọ mma ihe anyị na-eme Chineke na ọ dịrọzi mma hey ụmụ Igbo anya sị na Chineke anwụnugo nuo ewere Chineke dobe n'akwụkwọ a na-agọzi akwụkwọ anyị sị na Chineke na anwụnugo nuo ewere Chineke
Dewo, good morning. Ekele dịrị Chineke. What a wonderful day this is, an opportunity to inhale and exhale and do it one more time. I welcome all of you. Those of you who are still working amongst the living, welcome to our show. Welcome to this special show. We are still in the month of Ikenga, September 24th through October the 21st. I was born in the month of Ikenga, which explains my devotion to using my talent to make a difference in the world. Ikenga, using your talent to make a distinction in your life as well as in the lives of others and define your own destiny. I'd like to thank all of you that have offered me well wishes on my birthday. I appreciate you, and I thank you for thinking of me. Your thoughtfulness and kindness and kind words truly have added to the joy of celebrating another day, another year added to my life. I am so grateful to the mighty Chineke for blessing me with another year full of beautiful sunrises and sunsets. I'm claiming it, and an opportunity to watch my children and my grandchildren add another year to their lives. And hopefully I continue to have the opportunity to get it right. Whatever I didn't get right last year, I'm here to tell you, I am prepared to get it right today, to get it right this year. Day one. I am excited about this segment because our focus is on the Nigerian election, a revolution sweeping our nation, politics like we have never seen it before. Chineke Mela. It is the awakening of the minds of our people, our young people in particular, Yesterday, we celebrated the Nigerian independence, but we must ask ourselves some questions in this celebration. And I think that is why we have the new heartbeat beating in the Nigerian nation. Are we a happy people? Are we where Chineke wants us to be? Are we enjoying the fruits of our labor? Are we enjoying this opportunity called breathing? What kind of life are we living as African people, as Nigerian people? Are we where we want to be? Because if we're not happy, then change has to come. And this is how Chineke works. If something is not working, Chineke doesn't allow it to just stay that way. It will run its course. Because, we are all given an opportunity to think, to use our minds, to use Nkomi, to direct our lives. And when it's not working, Chineke has a tendency to say, okay, it's gone long enough. Something has to happen. And it's at that moment that the light goes off. You say, what is going on? You start hearing it, you start smelling it, you start seeing it. You realize that your unhappiness cannot continue. And unhappiness, according to Don Harold, is not knowing what you want and killing yourself to get to it. We don't know what we want. We haven't known what we want, but now we do. I think we now know what we want, and change is in the horizon. Do we have the right to continue to live in lack and limitation? No, we don't. Are we here, Chineke Charani? Chineke doesn't want us to live in lack and limitation. This is what's going on in Nigeria, denying ourselves the abundance goodness available to us. Chineke is saying, no, enough already. Is it now time to make a plan and follow our dreams, to go to do what we can, where we are, with what we have? Is it time? Is it time? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. That's what's going on. If you're not paying attention, start paying attention. Gente. Because so much is going on. It is not sensible to continue to buy into the belief that there is not enough, that we're not good enough, settling for whoever comes into office. Can we continue like this? Of course not. Chineke Semba. No, you can't continue like that. It's not what I put you in here to suffer. Is it now time for us to do the very best we can, use our minds, use our heads to change the situation? Yes, that's what's happening. Can you hear it? Can you feel it? Can you sense it? We have to become more expecting. We must expect a little bit more from our leaders, recognizing that what we give them, what we put into them, they must give back to us. It's morning time. It was dark yesterday, but you know what? The morning had to come. So it's morning time. We can't continue to live in fear. We can't continue to complain about what's going on in our country, what we don't have, what we cannot do, criticizing ourselves and others in the country. It is time for us to take a chance on a good leader, knowing in our hearts that everything is possible for us. For those of you who don't know, we are Nigerians, most of us are. So we are celebrating our independence with this conversation. And we just want you to join us. Can we continue to falter? Can we continue to blame others in the world? The foreigners? Do we hide in our shells, hating our enemies, whether those are, feeling sorry for ourselves as excuse not to do what we must, what we want? Is it not time for us to raise our consciousness, pour our love behind a person who has the responsibility to make our lives better? Is it not time? Is it not time? My brothers and sisters, we are responsible for doing everything we can to make our nation great, a better place. Wherever you are, you can help. You can be a part of this change. You can be a part of the good. You can return the sense of pride to your people by doing what it is that you want to do, that you can do. That is what our conversation is today. And we want you to join as we celebrate the awakening. That's what's happening in our homeland, Nigeria. So please bear with us if we're devoting today to our homeland, because it's important. This is the blessing that Chineke gave us, that has been trodden, that has been misused and abused by our leaders. Many have tried to run for this position as president. Some have been successful and not achieved anything for the country. The victor captures the victory cup when they sustain the pace and present themselves in a way that the citizenry will not hesitate to support them, to extol them, and to promote them. I think somebody is getting that joy, that love overflowing from the Nigerian people, particularly our young people. It is no longer time for tribalism. We've passed that. It's not a time for hesitating, for pondering who will we offend if we have the nerve to be honest. Time agago. This is a new reality. If we have the nerve to select someone based on their capacity to rule, not on their religious background or their tribe, but because they have what it takes to move us forward, that's who we support. That's when we are using Nkomi, deep thinking. Many questions have been posed to the Nigerian leaders, and I want to play it before we go into our conversation. But I think before I play this video, before I play this video, I'm going to welcome members of our organization, the Dibias of all Dibias. Oh yes,
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Listen, I wrote something. I put it on your Facebook page, so I'm just going to read it again. It's real short.
Okay.
It won't take up a lot of time.
Okay.
Happy birthday to my beautiful and brilliant sister, Dr. Owanyoha Osimiri, Okedibia. You are fearless, a lioness amongst the human animal. Continue to articulate our collective frustrations where the weak and wicked abound. May every way of your life continue to be light. Yes. Love you always.
Yes. Thank you. I got you, my brother.
So another year, which equates to more wisdom that you've attained. So congratulations, many more years to you. And I will keep hoping on that 100th birthday, and I won't be far behind.
That's right. I'm going to make it to 100. Yes. I'm going to make it to 100. I'm going down in history as one of those. And I tell you one thing: as you get older, you find, wait a minute, you don't count candles anymore. You count the flame in the candles. What do they represent? Each flame, you don't blow out the candle and say, it's another year. No, instead, when you blow out the candle now, you're saying, I did this, I did that, I did that. That's what all those flames are supposed to represent, what you have achieved, not just a lit candle that you blow up. But if you blow it up, just make sure that each one represents something positive that you have done. And so I'm going to continue to blow out my candles, add to my candles by the grace of Chineke. But when I blow it out this time, I have to ask myself, okay, what does this represent? What have you done? And so it is. Thank you for your well wishes. I appreciate it. Let me bring in Dibias Simona. And himself.
We're looking good this morning. 2 heads are better than one.
I'm telling you. Oh, this is nice. Good to see both of you.
That'll work.
Good to see both
Glad
of
to
you.
see you, mister. So happy you're with us. There we go.
Okay.
How you doing, Doctor?
Doctor, we can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you.
You have to unmute yourself.
Yes.
There we go. Man, I just give all that speech for nothing.
Hello, Uncle. Hello, Auntie.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Thank you. You see this one like green. You see this one like green, white, and green.
Yes.
I'm trying to find green wherever I can find it.
I got to say this though. Dr. Simona looking swank this morning.
You better watch out, my brother.
And as we say back in Nigeria, What's up?
Oh my goodness. You know what? So you guys give your welcome speech, please.
Yes, I would just like to say happy birthday. And I just thank Chineke for allowing you to exist at this time and for me having the opportunity of and pleasure of meeting you and being able that we're existing together. And I thank you for being my mentor and giving me guidance in this life. And, you know, for many years to come, I think you said 100, I say 120 that you will live. And so, and thrive, not only live, but thrive. So
Yes.
I just thank Chineke for you. And I know it's your birthday, but also Uncle Yudi, I thank you also as being my spiritual father. And, you know, I am so honored with Your Excellency being my spiritual mother. So I am so thankful for having that it's your birthday and having you here today. And also with the Nigerian, what's going on in Nigeria. I am very excited. I think there is going to be a lot of progress, you know, with Nigeria. And I think for the first time, Nigeria is with the youth will get the recognition that they deserve. There's so much talent in Nigeria.
We're gonna talk about hold that thought.
Well, I would like to say and love to say happy birthday, Auntie, and may you have many blessed years of, I see right here you say revolution, but you have an evolution, and you continue to grow and prosper and continue to spread the knowledge and the expertise that you bring to the table, as I've known you pretty much all of my life. You know? And I'm blessed. So, you know, and what you bring to society, to this world, not just only as a strong woman, but as a strong Black woman that represents Nigeria. And happy Independence Day to Nigeria. And what a birthday just to have that independence as well as your birthday to carry it on. And that's what you represent, the independence of women, the independence of Nigerian people, and the independence and the growth of all people. And that's what it's really about. And I wish you 1,000 years. And we, you know, as you know, we have.
You're not selling it for 100. It's a
you know, we have to erect a statue. So then, you know, that's what we as people do. That's what Black people do in this world. We erect statues, as you see in Africa. We have statues of our accomplishments. And that's what people don't understand. But that's why you're here to give that understanding. And bless you with Chineke and bless us all. Yes, Uncle, much love. Yes,
sir. Yes, sir.
I want to share with you guys, you know, what is so important about, thank you all for your wishes, but I want to talk about why we're here. It's about leadership, the change, the wind is blowing in the right direction. So I want you to watch this video. And then it's about 6 minutes, something like that. But it's important because from it, you're going to pull what you're going to share today. So I'm excited about it. And let me share that video with you. And here we go.
Now that Nigerians and Africans refer you to as honorable members, the question is, are you honorable members or horrible members? We live in a continent where legislators are measured by the number of funerals that they attend, where the efficacy of legislators is measured by the number of weddings they attend, where their significance is measured by the number of men and women that they support on the day of their weddings. And therefore, we live in a continent where the legislator is misunderstood. We live in a continent where legislators are not called and expected to perform their traditional functions. We were told then that you, honorable members of the House of Representatives, represented us. We were told then that you are our servants. And for a long time, we believed that you are our servants. But over the years, things did change, and we started believing that you are no longer our servants, and that you had become our masters, and that therefore, even when you claim to represent us in many African countries, and you remind us that you are our servants, we do not believe you, because it is the newspapers that are left to say what you say. The question that you must ask yourself, and this is a personal question, now that you have been given the honor and privilege of serving Nigeria, now that Nigerians and Africans refer you to as honorable members, the question is, are you honorable members or horrible members? Because the question as to whether you are honorable is determined by the service that you render to the people. Now that Nigerians have given you the opportunity to think for them, to imagine for them, when it is reported in the Green Chamber magazine and we talk of Nigeria as being a great country, the question is, and we will be asking you, are you midwives for the good things of Nigeria? Are you midwives that deliver bouncing baby boys and girls? Or you are midwives that kill the children in the cradle? Nigerians will be asking those painful questions which are necessary but uncomfortable. Even as I am congratulating you, ask yourself, do you deserve to be congratulated? Because my congratulations are only useful if you are servants of Nigeria. Nigeria is a great country, but I hold the view that Nigeria should be in the same space economically as Germany is. Nigeria should be in the same space politically as the United States is. I look forward to the day when Nigeria will have reawakened her agriculture, and that legislation will be produced and publicized in the magazine which speaks to agriculture. I know Nigeria can be great. I know Nigeria will be great. But Nigeria can be great and will only be great if you men and women seated here choose that Nigeria will be great.
Baya shashanci, balle ya nuna bambanci, obi sai dai kaskanci, obi baya zalunci. Duk inda na je, ko masallaci, ko coci, ko kasuwa, ko makaranta, ko gona, ko asibiti, obi jararince, obi jararince, obi jararince, obi jararince. Peter Obina, Obina Kaunana, Obina, Basaya ya Sheriba. Peter Obina, Obina Kaunana.
What's your name?
My name is Isaac.
Yeah, in what class?
You are free.
How do you feel going to school every day?
Good.
And how do you feel about your friends?
Happy.
Okay, what about them? How do they feel about you?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Why?
Because I'm not sure because they don't play with me that fun all the time.
Okay, and what again?
I think they don't play with me all the time because I'm not the same skin color of them.
And how do you feel about that?
I feel sad.
Okay, and where will you love to go to your high school?
Nigeria.
Why?
Because everyone in Nigeria is the same skin color of me.
And so you feel if you go to Nigeria, you feel connected with them?
Yes.
Okay, so how are you sure about that?
Good.
Good. So what do you tell the government of Nigeria to do for you so that you can come to Nigeria for secondary school? Why don't you tell the government to make sure Nigeria is in good order? That you want to come to Nigeria, you want good school, you want good road. I know you don't have the experience of what Nigeria look like. I know you say a lot of things about Nigeria sometimes, and I try to cover it up. You left Nigeria when you were 18 months, and you can't remember what Nigeria looked like. But every day, my son comes home telling me how about he feels in school. Please, Nigerian government, do something about it. We are not happy. We want to come back home. But no social amenities, no school, the fear of security, the fear of if anything happened to my kids, how can I take them to the hospital? Please, Nigerian government, we want to come back home. Do something, please. Do something. We want change. We want change. Do something, please. Please.
Well, UD will start with you. Your thoughts.
I just lost it with the little kid on the mic.
I know. I thought that was
because that's what we're going through.
Yeah.
That's what we think about all the time. Ever since I've been in this, my first 4 years in America was great. 8 years, okay. After that, it's been hell ever since. I've achieved my level of success in the United States and all that, married, got kids and all that kind of stuff. But that's neither here or there, because in the end, you've always wanted to put your roots back down where you came from. That's home. You can't replace that. A lot of Nigerians, Africans in general, that live abroad, will live abroad because of the malfeasance in Africa, in Nigeria. None of us ever came to the United States to live here for as long as we've lived here. We've always had this dream of coming here and then going back to Nigeria. But so far, I've been in this country 42 years. I came here to go to school in 1980, University of North Alabama. Then after that, I attended DeVry Institute of Technology and got into information systems. Eventually went to Georgia Tech. The dream was to come here and go back home. It hasn't happened. And the reason why it hasn't happened is because of this religious or tribal jingoism going on in Africa, in Nigeria in particular. The idea that I'm a Nigerian should mean that it doesn't matter what part of Nigeria that I live in, I expect the same level of success and acceptance. I'm Igbo, Southeast Nigeria. If I go to the north, let's say I go to Sokoto, Muslim state in the north, and I lived there maybe 5 to 7 years or whatever, I am qualified to run for governor up north in Sokoto. I may win, I may not win, but I have a right as a Nigerian, if we believe that we are one country, to go to any part of Nigeria and contest for political office. So far, since independence in 1960, barring the Civil War, that's a pipe dream. An Igbo man cannot go up north and run for political office and win over there. A Yoruba can come to Igbo land and run for political office and win over there. And Hausa man cannot come to Igbo land, run for political office and win. And yet we say that we're one Nigeria. What kind of country is that? For the first time in my life,
yes,
with this revolution going on with Peter Obi, I see Muslims up north dancing in the streets for this Igbo man. I see Yoruba people dancing in the street for this Igbo man.
Yes.
Not because he's Igbo, but because all the stuff that we've been doing politically in Nigeria has not worked. The tribal allegiance has not worked. The religious allegiance has not worked. The idea that it is who you know that will determine what kind of success you have in that country, as opposed to having opportunities for everybody on an equal playing field. The educational system in Nigeria is zero. You got people graduating from universities and you ask them, what degree did you receive? And they tell you, and you ask them, what is BSc? They can't even tell you what it means. And they have a college degree. This is how we have regressed to the point of no return. Children going to school in their classroom with no roof, with no chairs, no bench, nothing, sitting on the floor, sometimes standing with water up to their knees in the country that is supposed to be the richest and most powerful African nation. That is sad. That is why we have this revolution, as it seems, going on right now. People are tired. Insecurity. Boko Haram.
Hold 1 second. I'm going to add this and then you continue, okay? Because I just want, because you said the revolution, I want people to see, because the media is not showing it. It's not telling you what's going on in Africa. It's not. People think, no, the people the giant is waking up. I went to a hairdresser, and not that I have any hair, but I went to cut my hair. and this woman was talking about, we need Nigeria to get back together. Nigeria is the country we look up to. And I just want to play this, and you guys, this is what revolution looks like. This is what revolution looks like. Okay, well, it's supposed to play.
I mean, just looking at the picture right now, you pretty much get.
I do want it to play. I do want it to play. But anyway, if that one would not play, then I'll play this one. And just the joy in this little girl who's participating. Just watch this. I thought that was the cutest thing.
Yeah, but you know,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. See, when you see stuff like that, you kind of get to understand exactly where Nigerians are now. Nigerians are tired. There's so many different things that you could take out of this revolution going on. There's so many things to really focus on. First of all, those things that define a nation does not exist in Nigeria anymore. As a nation, tribalism and religion has simply just dislocated any sense of nationalism that we have in Nigeria. In the United States, what do they say? I'm an American. That's the most important thing. In Nigeria, you can't say that. Saying I'm a Nigerian, it's almost like you want to run away from it. You don't want to be part of the chaos because you understand that the place is rotten. Nigeria is the most powerful country economically in Africa. Militarily, probably South Africa and Egypt. But economically, we're the richest nation in Africa. It is important and pretty much imperative that Nigeria is successful because there are a lot of African nations that look up to Nigeria. If Nigeria fails, a lot of African nations will fail right along with it.
That's it.
Before the Civil War, agriculture was the mainstay.
That's right.
Then the economy was redefined to become an oil exporting country.
Yes.
Like Saudi Arabia or something, or Iran. But it doesn't have to be that way. When we were younger, okay, Dibia, you remember this. Nigeria was manufacturing cars. And as a matter of fact, right now, Nigeria has the most preeminent car manufacturing company in all of Africa. Innocent Motors in Nigeria, in Nnewi.
Yes.
Our cars look like any other car you see on the road, man. In the 70s, we were more of an industrialized nation. We produced Volkswagen cars. We produced Peugeot cars. We produced Mercedes-Benz trucks and cars in Nigeria. We produced Lada, cocoa. One of the biggest manufacturing hubs of just about anything that you could put your hand on, including electronics, was manufactured in Nigeria. Fashion, shoes, beer, alcohol. We had it all in the 70s. But somehow, we switched into the civilian government and it went downhill.
Yes.
We redefined ourselves through American democracy, which is not part of your history. So not having an innate understanding of how democracy actually worked, it became a tool for corruption.
That's right.
We had 12 states in Nigeria.
And it was working so well.
It was working so well. Nigeria, as a matter of fact, in the beginning, Nigeria was in 3 different regions: the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. And each region had its own economy.
Yes.
And contributed to the national pie.
Yes.
But after the Civil War, we ended up with 12 states. Instead of 3 regions, we had 12 states. Each region before the war had, there were 3 leaders: one for the West, one for the North, one for the South. Then you have the Prime Minister and the ceremonial president. Then after the war, you have 12 governors. So now you've gone from 3 different people that were managing these 3 different regions. Now you got 12. So if there was any corruption, you've now created 12 more avenues or 9 more avenues for corruption. So each state has a governor. It's 12 of them. Each governor has a deputy governor. They have a permanent secretary. Then you have local governments that require their own budget from the national budget, as opposed to producing something locally to contribute to the national pie. We redefined ourselves deliberately to foster corruption. We ended up in Nigeria now with like 30-something states.
35 or
35 states in Nigeria with 35 governors, 35 deputy governors, all kinds of local government areas, permanent secretaries. Now you got people eating money all over the country, putting cash from the national budget into their pockets, not producing anything.
Nothing.
So we have a leader who is now addressing some of these, the inadequacy with our constitution, for one thing.
Actually,
the idea
36 states.
36 states. And the idea that you don't have to be from a certain region at any particular time to run for the presidency or to run for national office.
That's right.
Because what Nigerians do is they tell you, well, the Igbo tribe, their turn is going to come in 4 years, right? Then in 4 years, the Hausa decides, well, we ain't ready for the Igbo people to come in yet. It's still our turn. The Yoruba person is going, well, it's supposed to be our turn right now to rule. So your tribe now determines who rules the country as opposed to your qualifications as a Nigerian to rule, to run for office. Nobody's entitled to rule anybody. Your qualification, not your religion, not your tribe, should determine your ability to run for national office. But in the Nigerian constitution, that is not the case. So we're hoping, I don't want to be long-winded too much, but we're hoping that with this new guy who seems to appeal to everybody because he's addressing some of the things that I'm talking about right now, that we'll get to the point where if we get a man like Peter Obi in power, then hopefully his influence will allow us to amend the Nigerian constitution
And
so that we could change the lives of people, those in diaspora and those in Nigeria.
You hit what Peter Obi, and I try to let people understand. Peter Obi is the conscience of the nation. He's trying to redefine the conscience of the nation. Let me say hello to Dibias Chiedozie. I know that you last time he couldn't join us because of electricity issues, and hopefully all of that will be solved with a new leader. Welcome. Can you hear us, Pete? Can you hear us, Chiedozie? I don't think he's hearing us.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Okay, now he moved a little bit.
Okay, can you hear us? Okay, hello.
Okay.
Welcome. And one of the things that I think is very unique, and there are two other people running for office. Let's understand that. There are two other people running for office, but I'm focusing on Peter Obi because right now his campaign seems to be a little bit more structured, more definitive in terms of what he wants to achieve. There's a little problem going on with the APC. That's the other political party. Their leader is very ill. As a matter of fact, he was flown out of the country and flown out, but did not tell the Nigerian people that he's not even in town. So some of the essential meetings that the candidates are supposed to attend, he was missing, and that's how we found out that he was ill, and he's gone to London. So that's where he is right now. And then the other one, I don't want to call names, but the one running for PDP is this disorder, because the person running for the vice presidency is making demands that the president is not willing to make. You understand? To me, so there's chaos. So he's gone. He's trying to disrupt the PDP, and the president is left holding the bag. There's so much confusion over there. So I'm focusing on Peter Obi because thus far, Peter Obi is the one that's showing us what a campaign is supposed to look like and what people should expect. The young people are galvanizing around him because, first of all, he refuses to be, what is the word?
He's not part of the old guard.
He refuses to be corrupted. He won't accept money. He won't accept bribery. As a matter of fact, he went to a church where the church asked him to give them money, because all the other parties have given monies. But Peter Obi said, no, you tell me what project you want, and I have enough money to build the project for you, but I'm not going to just give you money. So tell me, what's the project? To this day, he hasn't gotten the project, and that person got angry with him, you see. But what he has done is that the people themselves now are trying to emulate him. So our behavior is changing, so that in the past, where the young people can be corrupted by giving them money, the young people are refusing and rejecting money because their leader rejects corruption, and is showing it by practicing a disdain for corruption. So what are they doing? They're refusing money. They say, "Ayanara na shishi." That means we don't give bribery, we don't receive bribery. So he is setting the national conversation and conscience and morality. That's what a leader is supposed to do. And that's what he's doing. So nobody can get angry. Oh, why you're just talking about Peter. No. I'm looking at who is in front of me. I'm looking at who has my values. You show me your values. If it merges with mine, we'll talk. but this is the person who's expressing the majority values of the people, because the Yoruba, the Hausa, the Ifik, the Igbo, the Edo, it doesn't matter the tribe. Everybody is coalescing around this conscience. So for those people who don't understand, this is a revolution of not just who's going to be president, a revolution of the mind, of our consciousness, of morality, of what's right. You name it, this man is putting on the table. And that's why we're rallying around him. I want to ask this question. I know that Simone and Shiki, both of you, I'm asking this, and then I'll bring Dibia Chiedozie in. Your connection to Nigeria is through your mom. Your mom became a Nigerian citizen, okay, and practiced Nigerian culture, spiritual culture, Ifa religion, and also Chiism. She just embraced Nigeria. She dressed like a Nigerian woman, and she walked tall as a Nigerian woman. I regret that Queen Mother Shundara is not alive to see. She would have loved it, because that's what she talked about endlessly. There's so much in Nigeria. So let me ask you, why do you think, what do you think the youth energy is bringing to the table? Why is that the engine that's really moving? I know that Peter Obi is the face of this movement. Why do you think that the youth are the energy? Talk to me about that, both of you.
Well, the youth are the future, and the youth is everything in terms of where the country is to go and what the country is to be. And what I see is just structures. The structures that exist has come from outside, and those structures aren't made from inside. And what I mean by that is, for years under the colonial structure, the imperial structure of America, or of the Europeans, so those structures have been introduced into Africa for hundreds of years now. So with that, it's been years of stripping Africa and Africans of who they are and pushing another agenda, either for money or for power or weaponry. And it's been that way for years in their recorded history. They recorded what they've done to the African and to Black people around the world, and they put it in their books. And that's the references that we actually have, is the damage that they've done to a specific group of people globally. And when it comes to Nigeria, we have to look at it that this is the diamond of Africa, the jewel of Africa. Yes. Even when we look at the people, the population, the education, and what Nigeria has to offer to the world, when we look at just the amount of Nigerians that are out there keeping other countries going in their economics because of the education as they brought one from where they're from and their attitude about getting things done. So as a people, Nigerians are a special group of people because that's just who they are. But when we look at the atrocities that's been done to Nigeria from the British colonial system, and even when you look at Nigeria today, they're wearing wigs in their governmental
those white wigs.
And that right there shows you who is in control, because that government is just like America. Legislation is what runs this country. So if it's legislated from an outside source and ran under a wig group, then it's not ran by the people wearing their natural garments like you are wearing right there, right now, representing your people, your country, the totality. And that's what it's about. We need to get, as a whole, get on the aspects of where the world is evolving to. That's where I brought up the evolution, because we as a people have to evolve, and technology is where the world is at. And Africa and Nigeria has the opportunity now to get involved, now to get it and make it happen. And that is with the young people, because those people are the ones who's about to carry the torch.
That's right.
And the ones who's carrying the torch, in a sense. So they have to be held accountable. And that's what we haven't done as a whole of a people, held one enough accountable, and not looking for leaders, but becoming leaders in ourselves, and standing up and holding myself accountable, my wife accountable, my children accountable, and anyone that I encounter that is of mine accountable. And that's what I have to say. I apologize.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And one of the moral qualities, and then Dr. Monet, you can speak. One of the qualities that he brings to the table that I think, I suppose that's what's motivating a lot of young people. You know, it's this whole notion that, yes, we can. It's not as bad as they tell us. Yes, we can. We've got things. You know that the other, again, I say I don't want to mention names, but there was one of the parties was giving millions of naira to some members of their organization to do certain things, whatever those things are. Millions. This is millions of Nigeria's money going into the pockets. And when it was discovered, we're talking about 40 million naira, 36 million. This is the kind of money they were giving away to buy the votes. But when it was discovered, all these people said, I don't want to be a part of this. They started giving the money back. So you can imagine. And this was, this just happened. So you can imagine the embarrassment to find that your party. So I'm just not going to give too much air to these other parties by calling out their names. I'm focusing on the Labour Party. Again, it's what I see. It's what I see. You tell me what you are. You know, you should be known by your good deeds. Put in front of me what I should know, and I'll talk about it. Right now, I'm talking about whom I know and what is put in front of us, and why that little boy is crying, and he needs to go home, and we need somebody to make that possible. Dr. Monet.
Yes, when looking at the youth in Nigeria and the future leaders, we have to understand that we're going through a shift. You know, the whole world is going through a shift. Right now, we're in the fourth industrial revolution, which is technology. And then the things, what the youth has been exposed to most of their lives is connection to the world.
That's right.
So for the first time, they're actually able to see, or we're actually able to see exactly what is going on. We are able to see the injustices that is going on, not only where we are at, but around the world.
That's right.
We're able to have access to information to know what has been stolen and taken away from us.
Yes.
So the youth has this knowledge. And there is a shift. I think Chineke is shifting Nigeria to becoming, back to where, as Africans in diaspora and people, somewhere that we can migrate to. I think there's going to be a great migration.
Yes.
Nigeria. Yes. African Americans are already moving to Ghana because they said it feels so good to see people, just like that little boy was saying. It feels so good to see people just like me, that looks like me, that treats me, is not looking at my color, and judging me according to my color or looking different from them. So I think all around the world, not just Nigeria, but all around the world in the diaspora, especially the youth, are interested in getting back what has been taken. We are right now, we talk about on this show all the time, the enslavement of our minds as Africans and people of the diaspora. We're coming out of that. And this is proof that Chineke is taking us out of that.
Yes.
When I see the revolution and everything that's going on, I see that Chineke is saying it is our time to come to regain our minds. That's what came to me. It is our time to regain our minds, and in regaining our minds, regaining our power,
Yes.
we will regain back our culture.
That's right.
As African Americans, we're demanding now our reparations here. We built this country.
Yes.
We built America. The Caribbeans was built by African people, mostly West African people.
That's right.
But we also, in getting our reparations here in our respect and around the diaspora, the Caribbeans, we also want somewhere to come home to. We also would like to go and be able to live in the land of our ancestors. We would like to serve the God of our ancestors in the land that our ancestors came from. And a lot of the youth are wanting that.
Yes.
You cannot tell these youth anything anymore. You cannot take these youth to church and they just go with whatever they tell them.
Yes.
They want the real. They want the truth. They have access to the information and they're demanding that. They're very intelligent. They're coming here very intelligent.
That's
and
right.
they have Nigeria has everything that is needed. A lot of the things that Uncle Yudi was saying as far as our progression, everything that we were doing in Nigeria, they would never let us as Americans know that.
Yes.
When have we ever on the news in the 70s? See, we didn't have the internet in the 70s. They would never let people here and in the diaspora know of the success that was going on in Nigeria. Because guess what? We may have migrated to Nigeria. Guess what? We may have felt that we can progress and do some things, and come together. That is their biggest fear.
That's right.
They can't stop it now.
No, it's a revolution.
It's here. The information is here. We're in an information age. We're in the industrial. African people have always led in everything.
Yes.
And all around the world, they know that. And we can also lead in this fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
We can also lead in that.
Yes. Before I go to Chiadozie, I just want to remind you of the significance of even the Labour Party. Their symbol is the father, the mother, and the child.
Yes.
All right. The other one is an umbrella, and I'm not sure what the other one is, but it has nothing to do with our reality. It's just so the revolution is around concepts that people can appreciate, can embrace. All right. And even the name of Peter, Obi, gave birth to obedient. We are obedient. And then that he's Yusuf Dashi, we say we're obedient and useful. I mean, it's just like everything just works for them, and you know how young people are. Young people love that kind of thing, something they can repeat all the time, they don't have to stop and figure it out. They know exactly what it means. Now, were you going to say something, and then I'll go?
Yes, I'll be real brief. I think a major issue is as we all are educated, and when we look at the education that we so call as educated to today is Eurocentric. Is we all have degrees and we all look at that from that point. We've all been had European electives in terms of what we had to study more so the European system. And that right there strips you of who your culture is. And then for all people, because remember, a lot of people like Uncle Yudi said, hey, well, I came to America to get that American degree. But with that degree, they force you to be Europeanized. They force you to learn as their first group of people, which is, as they call it, the Greek people. They force you to get under their structure. And from that, as you look at it around the world, is that structure that they forced upon us, and as educators, that's where we have to go and fight against and say, hey, well, this is the truth. This is my people, and those people need to be added into the books, because when we're reading, we're only reading about Aristotle and those individuals, but we existed before those people even started. We was in our golden ages when they were in their dark ages. So that's the people that we are. So that's what I just have to say.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. And I mean, on point. I want to talk to. I want to bring in Dibias Chidozie, because Dibias is in Nigeria himself, so
on ground,
on knowledge of what's going on. Dibias, they will. Oh, he's freezing.
I couldn't make it last week.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah, it's frozen.
Can't hear you. He's frozen. He's connected.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello.
A little bit.
Me?
Yeah.
A little bit, yes.
We can hear you.
It
Go
was
ahead.
a heavy downpour this. The lines were very, very terrible, and then that was hours.
Right.
That was
We
the
hope
campus,
we put a bit. This will be fixed.
Yeah. So, but now
Okay.
back home to join. So that's why I'm late. All right.
Okay. Go ahead. What? Give us the gist. What's going on at home? Tell us what's going on at home.
What is evolution coming up? The last time
No, this is terrible.
Okay. I'm
we are
going to
winning under the SDP plan.
Okay.
In 2020, NCAS, it was.
Okay, I'm going to pay. Hopefully, he will get his. I'm going to text him and let him know that we're not hearing him. And I'm going to play this video, and then we'll jump right back.
This is Enugu. This is 1 million man march. Enugu State. The entire city is on lockdown. This is Enugu State. This is Enugu State. This is Enugu 1 million man march from Obidati. This is another group coming here. This is another group. It's a massive. What I'm seeing here today is beyond my comprehension. It's just much. It's just massive. It's just massive. What I'm seeing here today is massive. It's just a show of solidarity. Oh yes, I can see you. What I'm seeing here today is great. It's massive. It's massive. It's massive. What I'm seeing here today is great. Wow. This is Enugu. This is Enugu State. This is Enugu State. 1 million man march from Kitobi. What I'm seeing here, yes, we're not a give shishi. We're not a collect shishi. We're not a give shishi. The love here is much. The love here is much. What I'm seeing here today is indeed massive. It's massive. Wow. The crowd is just, I don't know where to start. We're not a give shishi. Obi is for us. Enugu is obedient. Southeast is obedient. The crowd is just something else. Wow, wow. Just watch from everywhere. Look at the crowd is still up. Very far away. Wow. This is massive. All I can say is that this is massive. This is another group. This is great. Enugu is obedient. Enugu is obedient. What I'm seeing here today is wonderful. What I'm seeing here today is wonderful. Enugu does not have a choice than to be obedient. It's just love, not love. Yes, I can see you. Wow.
I mean, it just blows your mind.
Yes.
You know what? Look, I've never seen in Nigerian politics, at least since we got independence,
Never been done.
that people were this engaged, right? It's almost like you give the people running for office for 4 years, you give them a chance to come, you go to the stadium and you listen to them. Then you go cast your vote, which half the time the vote doesn't count anyway. Because you can cast your vote, they'll still take the vote somewhere, throw it away, create their own vote, then come out and tell you this guy won. And meanwhile, you're saying to yourself, how did this dude win?
Yes.
How is it possible that Buhari comes to the East and wins everything?
Yes.
Which, if you have a normal playing field and we play politics the way it's supposed to be played, it shouldn't surprise you. He should be able to come and campaign in the East, and if he's the right candidate, win.
Yes.
But understanding how it works in Nigeria, you understand? It's possible. It's like me going to Yoruba land 10 years ago to run for office and then winning by 80%. That's a damn lie. You know that ain't possible. That's not going to happen. But Dr. Simona said something.
Yes.
And I just want to kind of reiterate, or at least go along the lines of what you were talking about.
Yes.
Listen, folks, for you all out there, Nigeria is one of those nations that every Black person in this world wants to see successful.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of respect. Understand, Nigeria's reputation didn't start today. It started away from the 50s, 60s, 70s. We were the mark for every Black nation in the world. We were the standard bearer. Nigeria was it. Minus the Civil War. It was about Nigeria. Oh, I'm from Nigeria. Automatically, people think you were successful in the 70s and 80s. It was about Nigeria. Today, you say it's Nigeria, everybody's laughing at you. People think you're crazy, you're stupid. These idiots with this guy as their leader, with Boko Haram running all over the place, kidnapping women, girls, the rape, the insecurity, the slaughter, the armed robbery. Dream of a crime. Think about it. You'll find it in Nigeria today. Insecurity is so bad that you cannot foster a good economy when people are afraid to even get on the road and drive. When I was in Nigeria before I came here, I could get in the car and drive from Enugu 600, 500 and something miles, 600 miles to Lagos without worrying about anything. I can't even drive from here to another village that is just 5 miles away after 6 o'clock at night. I'm scared. I might be robbed.
And that's what, and you want to add that. This is what this is about.
This is what it's about.
That's what the revolution is about. These young people are tired. They're tired because they don't see a future.
Nothing. Nigeria
give them a future. That's what this man represents.
That's what it is. And what makes me feel good about it, like Dr. Dibias said, listen, I'm just dealing with what's in front of me. And what's in front of me is excitement that is national. This campaign is a national campaign because Boko Haram, insecurities, bad economy, lousy healthcare, everything, it's affecting everybody in Nigeria. It doesn't matter where you live in Nigeria. These things affect you. It does. These people that were being tribal with politics. Oh, we're the Muslims. We're up north. We're going to dip the Quran to the south. We're going to this. We're going to that. Blah, 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 blah. Boko Haram kills more Muslims than anybody else.
That's right.
And they're Muslims.
That's right.
They're killing their own people.
That's right.
So their own people are not playing tribal politics anymore. They are tired.
Not
They
anymore.
don't care if the ant decides to run for president. If it's going to make their life and give them a little bit more security, they're taking it.
They're taking it.
And Peter Obi is saying what everybody in Nigeria wants to hear. My father always said, and you know this, okay, Dibia, you cannot hold the people at gunpoint that don't want to be held.
He say.
Once people have had enough, they've had enough. And that's it. And the people, for the first time in my life in Nigeria, have had enough. There's a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
We could talk about having this Pan-African mindset, this sense of nationalism. These are all part of the educational process and the weaning of colonial mentality.
Yes.
From our minds that need to take place.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Obi is not a silver bullet. Let's make that clear to everybody.
He's not.
He's not a silver bullet, but he's having the conversation that we need to hear.
Yeah.
That we need to have. And maybe he will surround himself with people that think like him, assuming that he has a Pan-African mindset. Rome wasn't built in a day. The changes are not going to happen in one day. It might take several election cycles for Nigeria to get where it needs to be. But at least, just like it took so many years for us to end up in the toilet, it's going to take some time for us to come back out of it. So if whoever wins this election, and hopefully it is the man who is saying what everybody wants to hear.
Yes.
Give him more than 4 years.
Yes.
Julius Nyerere. And I have to bring this up. It's very important. Because a lot of times people talk about democracy and we all go crazy. Oh, we want to be democratic. We want to be free. Well, maybe it ain't for everybody. We have our own cultural democracy with people like my father, Mbono Jikedem, even Murtala Mohammed, who was a military leader in Nigeria, advocated, and he was murdered within 6 months of becoming president. Julio Nyerere said it. Africans are not ready for this so-called democracy because they don't understand it. It's not based on your culture. It's not based on your history. Your cultural democracy, which is part of your history, is what's ultimately relevant, not the parliamentary system of the British or the, what do you call it, American democracy for Nigeria. But we will take what we can right now, provided we have leadership that has the right mindset to move us forward. So give the leadership a chance. Yes. It's going to take all of us to change Nigeria. Yes. It's going to take all of us to start to deprogram ourselves when it comes to corruption. It's going to take all of us to have the same conversation that he's having so that we can bequeath a lasting legacy for our children, or at least give them something to build on.
I say.
Built in a day. This stuff is not going to be solved in a day, but at least it will allow us to move in the right direction.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to take a moment and read something nice that my son wrote. I hope you guys don't mind. He says, "Happy birthday, Earth Day, to my mother. The achievements you have accomplished are and will always be a thing of reverence, simply because your dedication has been to uplifting the rest of the world around you. Growing up watching your dedication to your family and to those communities whom you've never been, but still take on the ideology that with great power comes great responsibility. And your power is love, empathy, and diligence. It is and has always been something to see, especially, well, I think.
Well, let me say this to what he just wrote. Let me say what he just wrote.
Thank you, son.
Years old, when I get to be 100, and they're right, somebody needs to be writing my, what's going to be on my epitaph or whatever, I'm going to commission Nnamdi to write what he just wrote, because that was beautiful. Wow.
Thank you, son. Thank you. It's so appreciated. Oh my goodness. I have another video, and then I want us to talk about that, because there's no point in just talking. I want us to see what's happening.
Yeah.
You actually get to see what's happening. It's a short video, but it needs
Wow.
Nobody
Okay.
has seen such a thing anywhere in the world. Nowhere in the world. I just read an article that what's going on in Nigeria, there's nowhere in the world that any leader has this kind of support by the youth. Of that. You see, when you have the youth supporting you, it's over.
Yeah.
Truly. It's over because the youth have been sleeping. You know, they say when you wake up the sleeping giant, look out.
Well,
Because
here's another thing.
they don't go back to sleep. You can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Yes.
It's out now. They have smelled it. They feel it. They sense it. They are living it. It is just like Akachi just said, it is amazing. This is the spirit of change. This is the spirit of change. This is what you said.
Here's something else. Here's something else. People gotta understand.
Yes.
And I see it. Let me tell you what I see. They are sending a message. This is our guy.
Yes.
In case there's any doubt, in case you want to rig the election, in case you want to act like somebody else won, we're letting you know. We want you to see.
Right now.
This is our guy. He's going to be president based on the evidence of support.
Yes.
No other candidate has that. There's nothing like the supporters of the other candidates are sleeping and they're just waiting to come out in droves and vote. They're sending a message. If anybody else wins other than this guy, then we know that this election is rigged.
Rigged. And there will be consequences.
There will be consequences. So it's not just about we love this guy, which they do, but it's also a message.
That's right.
If anybody, after the evidence that you see, is declared the winner, they'll be held to pay because we know you're lying. If you go to Sokoto, it's obedient. You go to Kaduna, it's obedient. You go to Maiduguri, it's obedient. You go to Iraq, it's obedient. You come to Igbo land, it's obedient. We're obedient in Abuja, all over the world.
Everywhere.
That's the message that is being sent with the numbers that you see. So let everybody understand what's going on now. It's not just about the support of Peter Obi. It's about the idea that this election can never be rigged. This is our guy. That's what the crowd is saying. And anything that deviates from this fact is going to cause a lot of issues in Nigeria. If you don't want Nigeria to explode, if you don't want Nigeria to disintegrate, pay attention to the message that the crowd is sending. That's what I see. UD, come on, you.
It's say. Now we're gonna give Chiadozie. Hopefully, Chiadozie, how are you? I hope you were able to fix it so that you get a chance to address us.
He's looking good now.
Go ahead. Tell us what's going on. Tell us what's going on in Nigeria.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, I have a lot of my cousin is here, so with the children, so there are a lot of noise at the background. That's why I have to mute it. All right. So, like, as I was saying, it seems that Nigeria is fond of the spirit of revolution comes into Nigeria, say, every 30 years, if I may calculate. I can't quite remember the events now, but I think it started in 1933 when our fathers then began to mute for independence. And then 1953, it intensified. Then it was again around that, the last time I remember, 1993, MK Abiola, then this time 2003. So at 2003, yes, a lot is going on here. The obedient movement is the same movement for NSAS, youthful, they are yearning for change, and they were brutally stopped at the Lekki toll gate in the year 2020
yesterday marked it 2 years, and that revolution was brutally stopped. I am afraid this time that we should look beyond the gathering of crowd, because like I heard Dibias, as he was saying, we are fighting against a terrible system, well entrenched, very punitive, mean, and they are ready to do anything, just anything, to hold on to power. They are more desperate than the youth. And so it's a youthful movement. And this is the first time we are seeing in Nigeria a candidate is not campaigning with his money. In fact, it has gone beyond him. The youths have taken over, and everything, every obstacle put on their way, they surmount it. They had to put a law that no more, you can't receive a financial assistance from abroad anymore. The youth find a way to it. And so they are sponsoring themselves. And Obi is almost spending nothing to campaign. People have come out to even donate money freely. The youths are organizing themselves. They are doing the campaign, and they are popularizing the Labour logo. So about the movement, I'm not afraid. My fear is with the system. Everything will be done to frustrate the revolution. That is where my fear lies. The Nigerian system.
Yes.
As we are talking about now, the password for voting is being manipulated, voters card, the PVC. They carry the PVC for Lagos and go and dump it somewhere in Maiduguri. They carry the ones in Maiduguri and dump it in the southeast. The ones in the southeast, they dump it in the middle belt. That is not enough. They are busy hyping the number of their voters, that is to say ghost voters, on the INEC web. That has been discovered in Owerri, Imo State, by the UPP candidate. Okay, and then beyond that, if we are talking about the North, you are going to already, people from Niger Republic, Northern Cameroon, Chad, up to Mali, they have PVCs. Why those in Nigeria don't have? We are struggling, still struggling for PVC. Those ones have it already. In Kano, an individual has 3 PVCs, three. And then they've gone to include names on the INEC server of people from Zimbabwe, names from Zimbabwe, from all over the world. And so this election, as usual, is not going to be free and fair. We must have that at the back of our mind.
You're right.
So the problem is not with the movement, the problem is with the system.
Right.
Yep.
So with the movement, I am hopeful, I'm optimistic, but with the system, I'm downcast.
Me too.
And the system is well entrenched. So as you are talking, those who are for the movement, we know that they are youthful, but a lot of the youth too also belong on the other side. Because I teach and I know what happens. A lot of the students too, a lot of the youth also belong under the either the umbrella or the broom. And they are being loaded with money to go out there and convince people why their own candidate is better. So these are the factors on ground. The factors on ground does not favor the movement. And one thing working against this, working against the revolution this time is that unlike 2015, when Jonathan was willing to allow free and fair elections, even when the odds were against him, his mantra was, my ambition is not sufficient to waste the blood on the life of any Nigerian. There were copious, obvious facts that the INEC chairman had compromised with the opposition. Yet he refused to sack the INEC chairman. He refused to manipulate the machinery in his favor. He left everything to be free and fair. That is not happening right now. The INEC officials are already biased. They are government prone. So what was on ground in 2015 is not what we have on ground right now. So my fear is that if elections hold, I am sure that the youths are determined to vote. They will vote rightly. For those who are obedient, they will follow up their votes. That has happened in Osun State, whereby they monitor their votes and they make sure that the votes are electronically transmitted. In fact, the other time we heard that the INEC chairman was being twisted to cancel the electronic transmission of votes so that we could go back to the old system of writing it manually and then transferring results, so that when we transfer results from point A to B, the results will change overnight. But with the electronic transmission, you cannot change it. So he's being twisted that he should revert that law. And he said, you have already passed the law. And before the eye of the world will be a laughing stock. So a lot of pressure, a lot is going on down here that is not on the pages of newspaper. A lot are going on that are not on the pages of newspaper. So it is what you get to hear on the air or on the pages of newspaper that you know. There are a lot going on behind the scene, on the ground, that are not being announced. Newspapers, the media is being harassed not to broadcast most of these things. That is the situation we are right in here in Nigeria. So my view is that with the movement, I'm optimistic. But with the system, I'm downcast.
Well, you know what? We are not going to be downcast. I see what you're saying, and he's telling the truth. He's just keeping it real. But you know what? We're not going to be downcast. We are going to trust that it's time for change. That even some of those people who are behind all of that would appreciate the need for change. Let the best person win.
Yes.
Let the best. Nigeria can't look. You cannot rule a lawless nation. You can't.
And it will be lawless after this election.
You can do all those things you want to do, but you cannot rule a nation that does not want you to rule them anymore. You said it earlier. Your dad said it. You cannot hold down a people who don't want to be held down. You see what I'm saying? What Dibias is saying is true. There are people working to make sure that the old ways continue, but the old way cannot be sustained. That's the thing. There's a difference. If there's something you can use to sustain the old way, it's one thing, but you can't sustain it. You cannot sustain it because all these people that have risen up, you're not going to put, how many of them are you going to kill? You're not putting them back in the bottom. These people are not going to quit. They will create chaos for those who think that they can manipulate this stuff. They will kill, because what we are seeing is not just people who want to go in the street and march. These are people who want to vote, who want to see change happen. If you don't give them that, you don't have a country to rule. That's just the bottom line. You can do all the dirty things that Dibias is saying, which is true. That's what they're trying to do. But who are you going to read? You can't have all these chiefs and no Indians. If the people refuse to have you, now think about it, Dibias, when you have people who are refusing money. In the past, the young people, you just give them 3,000, they'll vote for you.
A bag of rice, and they'll vote.
But now people are offering them money. Now there are some of them, I'm sure, with the other parties that are accepting money.
Of course.
Corruption continues. But this is a new wave of thinking. This is a new way of thinking that these young people are saying, I don't want this to continue. Not under my watch. Not under my watch. So you can come up with all your dirty money. You can come up with all the dirty tricks. Just remember, you cannot rule a people who refuse to be ruled. Now, you have to remember, back then, when people were thinking just about their stomachs, right? You can say anything or do anything to them, and they'll go along with it. But when people are no longer thinking about today, but they're thinking about the future, you coming back in there and not showing them a future, they're not going to accept it. Not now, like Dibias said, it is the youth who are running this thing now. It's not even I have a video, I don't know, I couldn't find it, where Peter Obi was in the vehicle and he was surrounded by these young people. He himself was shocked. He can't believe what's happening. He couldn't. He had his hand like this, and he was just telling them, "Thank you, thank you." And the people in the vehicle were saying, "This is unbelievable. This is just love. This is pure love." It wasn't Peter Obi. It wasn't him anymore. These young people are not interested. It's not about the politicians. As a matter of fact, they're voting for Peter Obi, but you can understand, you better believe that they will hold him to account, because they don't want any corrupt politicians anymore. So if you say you're going to do all these things, these young people are going to expect you to do it. You did. Go ahead.
Yeah. To me personally, there are 3 things that we need to take into consideration. Geez, I just said 4, but I mean 3. Number 1, like I mentioned earlier, this is a revolution that it's not going away. And it's going to be violence against violence, which was already going on in Nigeria before this election. You understand what I'm saying? These youths, I remember in Igbo land, Dr. Chido said, you know it. They made a rule that every Monday, nobody goes outside. If you go outside and they catch you, they will kill you, because they were trying to get the government to release Nnamdi Kanu, which the government is not going to do. But this is how these people are thinking. What you see going on in Nigeria is a warning. It's not all about the support for Peter Obi. It's a warning that anything contrary to what you see is going to create the worst chaos in that country that you've ever seen. They've had it up to here. This is it. It's over. They can plan and do all the INEC thing they want to. They can deal with the corruption stuff and give people money and do all that stuff. The youth, those people that are obedient, no. First of all, they have the numbers. They have the numbers. You can get the people with the stuff you were talking about, 3 voting cards and whatever it is that they're doing. These people are going by what they see. All this other shenanigans going on is neither here or there. They will wreck that country. Second thing, the economy of the world is moving from fossil fuel to electric and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
The United States will no longer benefit from Nigeria in the long run if we're still producing oil. Because after a while, within 10, 20 years, oil is 20 years from now, 40% of all the cars on the road are going to be running electric.
Yes.
So the foreign interference that you see before is not the same thing you're going to see now. There's nothing like backdooring the country so that you could ship oil out, because that's what you're depending on. That is not the case anymore. As a matter of fact, one of the Nigerian senators, Bruce, you probably know who I'm talking about, he was making a speech telling the Nigerian Senate that it is time for them to refocus the economy to electric cars and start dealing with that. He was shut down. They told him, shut up. We don't want to hear what you got to say. He said, okay, I drive a Tesla. That's what he said. He said, I got a bunch of electric cars. I no longer drive any car that uses gas. And I'm telling you guys, this is where the economy of this country needs to be headed. After a while, oil will mean nothing. 30 years from now, most of the cars on the road are not going to be using gasoline. So as far as the foreign countries of the United States or Europe are concerned, it is now imperative for them to see in Nigeria, the most powerful economy in Africa, that is diversified, so that they themselves can come and invest just like they do in Dubai. There's a lot going on here. The United States are going to end up putting pressure. Britain will end up putting pressure on the government that exists right now to make sure that there's a level of honesty in this coming election. Because they listen, foreign entities have a lot to gain if Nigeria succeeds. They have nothing to gain if Nigeria is in chaos, because the economy is no longer oil.
Well,
It's going to be manufacturing.
Yes.
You create a manufacturing environment, you are going to see foreign companies coming to Nigeria to set up factories.
But that's what's going on in Ethiopia now.
They will make money.
Ethiopia.
The money is no longer in oil. Trust me when I'm telling you, 30 years from now, there will be no economy in Nigeria at all. Agriculture, manufacturing, electric cars. We already have Innocent Motors in Nigeria. He could start making electric cars. We might end up with another, car manufacturing company. Tesla may set up a factory in Nigeria and employ people and sell their cars in a country that is economically potent. There's a lot to think about when it comes to what's going on in Nigeria. Nigeria has a population of almost 300 million people in it.
Yes.
That's a fifth of the population of Africa.
Yes.
It is imperative that Nigeria doesn't collapse. There's a lot of money in there. Africa has a population of 1.2 billion people, and Nigeria has a population of 300 million.
Yes.
It is imperative that Nigeria succeeds. And the people you see in the street that have had enough, even when they did the SARS movement, nothing like this. This is ridiculous. There was no SARS movement going on in Maiduguri.
No.
No, it wasn't happening in Kanu or Sokoto. It was happening in Lagos. It was happening in Igbo land. It was happening in the West, Ibadan, Benin. That it wasn't going on in Sokoto up there. So it is imperative for Nigeria and for foreign interests that this election goes as well as you can possibly expect, because if it doesn't, the country will go into chaos. Now you can't have an economy because you can't go anywhere. Who's going to benefit? People are going to go to the south, to Delta State, to River State. They're going to go to where the oil comes from, and they're going to break the pipes, and they're going to steal the oil.
Yes.
Then you have more environmental decay. More people are going to die because of some oil explosion. People are going to be desperate. They're desperate right now. There's nothing going on in the country. The country is desperate. So it is in everybody's interest, both foreign and domestic, that this election, and this is a warning, that this election comes off legitimate. Because if it doesn't, these youths,
the young people are not playing. They're not playing.
It's just going to go down the toilet, because you cannot expect people not to feed their children. You cannot expect people not to eat.
No.
So,
even Yudi, those people who are rigging that stuff, do they live in Nigeria?
Oh, they're going to pay the price.
Are they going to live in?
They will pay the price.
Continue.
You're going to watch all these people that think that they're beyond reproach, that you cannot reach them, that nobody can touch them. You're going to see these people all running from the country abroad with all the money they've stolen.
Believe that.
There will be no room for them to drive their car or live in that country. I'm telling you what's going to happen. That's the message. That's what you see. It is a warning.
It's a warning. Young people ain't playing.
They ain't playing no more.
These young people are not playing.
A king does not have anybody they are ruling. It's not a king.
That's it.
You can't just say I'm king, but there's nobody for you to rule. Go ahead, Dr. Chidozie.
Go on, Doc. Go on.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You see, for those who are looking at the future, what you just said is correct. But the government in power today is not futuristic.
Yeah, true.
It's a government vandals, plunderers. So as we are talking about now, from what we hear, down there in the southeast, loads of ships of oil leave Nigeria almost on weekly basis, unaccounted for.
Yes.
Yep.
So what they are trying to do right now, they know that in the next couple of years, oil will cease to be the main economy. So for now, instead of working to endow the society, they are putting into the personal pockets.
Yes.
Then they also are taking the gas through pipelines across the North African countries. That is why those ones are sending their own people to come here and cause insecurity for the indigenous people of Nigeria. And so 2023 next year is decisive for Nigeria.
Yes.
If we don't get it right by
That's right.
election,
Yes.
Nigeria, like Dibias said, is likely to be in turmoil and break like China, the Chinese plate. Because as we are talking right now, the ethnic militias are waiting. In
Yep.
fact, some years ago, I said that what will end up Nigeria if we don't get it right is ethnic militias.
Yep.
So the time, as for the youths have their minds correct. What happened in Osun State is that the people collected the money. These days, they're not even rejecting the money. They collect the money. They say, it is part of our money you have stolen. They take the money and vote the person they want. So the days you use money to entice people is gone. So this time around, they are not even rejecting the money. Give me the money. It's my money. But it's not enough for you to bribe me so that you stay there for the day. So it is my right. So the level of consciousness is high now, right? But like I said, the government in power will not allow the revolution to be. But as it stands for now, there are a lot of factors in Nigeria that will bring about the revolution. If it doesn't happen by the obedient movement, it will happen by the ethnic militias. Because what used to happen in the past is that the government officially gets to a particular place amongst the people, takes the arm from them, and then terrorists go there, attack the innocent people. No armed forces go there to help the people. This is what has been happening in Nigeria. But this time around, the ethnic militias are arming themselves. How they do it, I don't know. And they are not giving their arms and ammunition over to the government. In fact, if the government comes, they fight the government headlong. And so a lot of insecurity in Nigeria now, as we are talking about now, some part of Nigeria in the north are in the hands of ISWAP, ISIS. They have been occupied, and the Islamic flag has been hoisted in these parts of Nigeria.
The northeast.
Right now, in some part of the north. And so we better get it right in 2023.
Yes.
If we don't get it right by election, the obedient movement, either by revolution, then we are going to get it by implosion.
Say it again. That's right there. It is right there.
Implodes. So that is why the leaders must be wise enough to read in between the lines and read the handwritings on the wall and allow free and fair election.
That's right. Thank you.
And as for the people are tired of the traditional parties. In fact, Obasanjo himself muted the idea from 3-5 years ago of the third force. And Obasanjo himself, I do not know, I don't have facts to prove that, but he muted the idea of the third force, and the obedient movement now is the third force. Because if you look at it, the Labour Party was somehow insignificant before now, but as soon as Obi moved into the Labour Party, it became a force to reckon with. So much so that it is the in thing that we talk about right now. So these are the indices on ground. Better get it right in 2023. If we don't, what will happen in Nigeria? The government would not be able to handle it, because from the feelers you get when you travel around Nigeria, almost every ethnic group is waiting with their ethnic militias. If what they want doesn't happen, they will take to the streets.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I would like to ask this question to Ashiki, being an African American Nigerian. I mean, the total package.
My brother.
Now, based on based on what we know historically, that sometimes the foreign interests do come into play. Do you think that Nigeria will get outside support or outside interference? Which one do you think?
I think that they will get outside interference, and the reason why I said that is because Uncle mentioned something that was very interesting. Once he mentioned ISIS being in a particular area, that gives America and its allies rights to come in under their under the rules of terrorism, to come in and inflict and mainly supply weaponry and different things that's going to ultimately disrupt economies. Now, when we start looking at the global system, if you look at America and how America is going to affect the world, and then how that transcends to other factions. Right now, you have Donald Trump and you have Biden right now running for office, two elders, running for office, and you're looking at the climax of the end of, like what we're saying, systems. And when you look at Germany, you look at all these European countries, they're coming at the end of their system, even with the death of the Queen. The system is about to end, and that's when the real revolution is going to start. Yes. Because what are we going to put in place? What are we going to replace what we currently had for centuries in terms of the other countries and outsiders? When you look at Africa, the names in Africa are not named by Africans. They're named by Europeans, by French, by Englishmen. I was just looking at the other day, all the way from Nova Scotia. They came and made Sierra Leone. They're the ones who brought Christianity to Sierra Leone from Nova Scotia. So when you start looking at it, they're the ones who said, this is Sierra Leone, giving it its name. So when you start looking at it, it is imperial groups, it is religious groups, and then there's wars that's economically that is affecting us. But the real power change is about to come as we look at the presidency in America and we look at the global, because they're the ones who say, don't buy Nigerian oil, buy American oil. Don't buy it. And when you look at it, the top producers of oil right now in the world is they're looking at America and Russia. When you look at it a few years ago, it used to be Nigeria. It used to be, but they put a stamp and a hold on production coming out of Africa. So that's what we have to look at. How can we get past them and create our own, because that's where the new system's going to be as we look at the big coins and things like that, is the creation of our own systems, and because their system's about to collapse.
Yeah. Excellent. Akacha Zubike said, returning to the African indigenous way of sustaining living is the future. And yes, plundering the earth and plundering people to sustain life is over. It is. The people won't have it anymore. Before I ask each one of you to make your closing statement, I just want to share this. A politician went on, did a press conference recently to request the arrest of Peter Obi. Well, the reason why he wants Peter Obi arrested is that Peter Obi made a reference in church and told the church to take over Nigeria, to do their job, to take over the responsibility that is theirs. And that is to right all the wrongs and do the right thing, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is what he's trying to say, if they would just pay attention. The church has been misleading the people. And what he's saying to them is, do your job, because you got all these people who come to you every Sunday. You are impacting their minds. Do the right thing instead of telling them whom to vote that you want. You let them make up their minds, teach them how to vote, not based on tribalism, not based on religion and all that stuff. But you see, this is what the church does. The church preaches, do according to religion. The man is in a church. He's in a church. So, of course, he's addressing the church. It makes sense to me that he said what he said. You are the church. Take over your responsibility. And your responsibility is not to influence them to vote for people who give you money. You're supposed to be a moral institution. Do your job. Spread morality, such as it is. But the point of the matter, my understanding of what he's trying to say is, you cannot continue. Who but the church has millions of people in front of it every single Sunday.
Yes.
Saturdays and Tuesdays sometimes. The information you're feeding them because these people give you money. You don't allow them to think. You influence their decisions. So the man is saying, do your job. Be a moral compass. Stop influencing them to vote based on innocuous things. You understand what I'm saying? So this man said, oh, he's spreading Christianity. He's saying that Christianity is more. He's Muslim. That's not what the man is saying. The man goes all over Nigeria and dresses in their traditional attire as they give him. He does whatever it is they want him to do. He goes to their kings. He bows accordingly and all of that. He's not about Christianity. He's a Christian. Yeah, I know that. But that's not what he was trying to say. So those whose mind are still wrapped around tribalism are trying to get, other tribes to see him not as what he is, as a qualified person, but to see him as a Christian that the Muslims should be afraid of. But that's not what he's about. When the last time he went and spoke to the Muslim gathering, the same thing he said: do your job. I think that we have had what a show this has been.
Yes.
It's been an exciting program. And I just want all of you, we've got just 6 minutes left. I give each one of you a minute to please round up your thoughts. Give a message to our youth. Tell them what you think they should do. I will start with you, Dibia Yudi. Your mic. Unmute your mic.
The mic.
Sorry about that.
Please come again. I didn't hear the last word. I didn't get it.
My message to the youth is stay focused. Don't quit. If you have to give up your life, give it up. Whatever it takes. It's your future. It is your future. You are responsible for what your world will be like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. This is your future. And anybody that gets in the way of your future doesn't deserve your loyalty. This is your future. The next generation, we always talk about that. We live, we raise our kids, we continue our bloodline. So you have a choice. You can either continue in chaos,
thank you,
in poverty, or you could grab the bull by the horn, get on top of it, and ride it to submission.
Yes.
Okay. And so it is. Dr. Chidozie, I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me, on my part, I think we just have to be very consistent, persevering, and endure to the end. Those are the three words that define focus.
Yes.
That Binocha just spoke about. Because if we don't do these three, be consistent, persevere, endure to the end, then we will lose our focus on the ball.
Yes.
And that is exactly how we have always derailed. And so, for a people who want change, it's not going to come easy at all.
That's right.
It's not going to come easy at all.
There's
always going to be a problem of paradigm shift.
Yes.
Because those there who gain from the status quo don't want it changed. And those who want it to be changed have to make sure they are consistent, endure to the end, and persevere.
Say. All right.
Yes. What I say to the What I say to the youth is gain a skill set so then you can create your opportunities and your ways out.
Yes.
Because that skill set is going to get you a trade that you can get your way out. And
Yes.
those trades is going to help develop Africa. And that's what we need to put on there is the trades, the skill sets. And that's where I'm looking at for the youth.
You say, thank you.
You say. I would say to the youth, first of all, we have to understand our history of divide and conquer. So we must move forward in unity so that we are able to fight against the powers that be. If you just look at America, where I'm from, and where things that has happened there, they've destroyed many of everything that we've tried to build up has been destroyed by our oppressors, and so in order for that not to happen, we must walk together in unity, putting our religious differences aside, putting everything aside that really is not important for our growth and success. So we must move in unity. I think that's the most important thing at this point.
Thank you, all of you. I want to thank everybody. Thank you, the Dibias, for being here as always. It's always like food for the mind when I meet with all of you, and I'm sure that the participants in our forum feel the same way. So thank you. Thank you, Dibia Yudi, Dibia Chiedozie, and Dibia. Definitely Ashiki for joining us today. I just want to end very briefly. It is not a time for tribalism anymore.
Yes.
We are Nigerians. No matter what, we are Nigerians.
Yes.
We cannot hesitate anymore about that. We cannot look around to see who we want to support based on the fact that they belong to our religion or they belong to a tribe. No, we can't ponder that anymore. It is time for us to be honest with each other. If we want Nigeria to work, then we have to work together. We have to see ourselves as one country. Yes, we may come from different tribes, and that's okay. That's what makes us powerful. That's the joy of diversity, that it can never be the reason why we fight anymore. We must not allow it to continue. We must do whatever it takes by any means necessary to get Nigeria where it needs to be. Let us use Nkumi, the power of our mind, deep thinking, to make Nigeria, prepare our future, prepare our children for what belongs to them. Thank you so much, all of you. Like I said earlier, I truly enjoy having you here. All of you who joined us, thank you from wherever you joined us. Please come back next week as we continue having exciting conversations that would make you go, and so it is. Thank you so much. Good day.
Yeah, guys.